If you love a mystery that keeps you guessing until the very last frame, then you're in the right place. We're about to take a high-velocity journey through the complete plot of the Knives Out universe, uncovering every crucial moment and final deduction in chronological order. Our story begins at the sprawling estate of the celebrated mystery novelist Harlan Thrombey on the night of his 85th birthday. Harlan is found dead, seemingly having died by suicide by slitting his own throat. The police are ready to close the case, but an unknown party has anonymously hired the great private detective Benoit Blanc to investigate, convinced there's more to the apparent suicide. Blanc arrives and quickly begins interviewing the Thrombey family, establishing their individual greed and reliance on Harlan's immense wealth, which provides every one of them with a motive. But the focus rapidly shifts to the person Harlan trusted most, his kind and devoted nurse, Marta Cabrera. Marta has a debilitating moral quirk. She physically cannot tell a lie without immediately and violently vomiting. Because of this unique affliction, Blanc recruits her as his involuntary truth detector, relying on her to provide accurate, albeit incomplete, answers. The narrative then cuts to the real sequence of events on the night of the party, revealing the core deception that drives the entire plot. Following a tense family argument, Marta begins preparing Harlan's prescribed medications. In a moment of sheer exhaustion, she believes she mixed up the correct vials for the Klear, harmless medication with a vial of lethal morphine, and administers what she thinks is a fatal dose. Panicked, Marta confesses the devastating error to Harlan, convinced she is now facing a manslaughter charge. Harlan, recognizing her terror and the accident for what it was, immediately decides to commit the ultimate act of self-sacrifice to protect her. He instructs a distraught Marta to meticulously create a false alibi. She must be seen leaving the house, then sneak back in through a window, and disguise herself as him to mimic his continued presence after she departed. To ensure the medical examiner would confirm the time of death as being well after she was supposedly gone, Harlan gave his final instruction before committing suicide by slitting his own throat. Harlan died to protect Marta from a crime she believed she had committed. The investigation continues with Marta concealing the facts by giving accurate but frustratingly incomplete answers to Blanc. The tension escalates dramatically at the reading of Harlan's will, which delivers a shocking twist to the entitled Thrombey family. Harlan has bequeathed his entire fortune and property to Marta. The family immediately turns on her, threatening to expose her undocumented mother unless Marta renounces the inheritance. The plot thickens when Harlan's charming but deeply entitled grandson, Ransom Drysdale, appears to offer assistance. He manipulates Marta into confessing her perceived accidental murder to him, claiming he wants to help her navigate the legal turmoil in exchange for a cut of the inheritance. Ransom, however, has an entirely different plan. Marta receives a blackmail note containing a partial photocopy of Harlan's toxicology report. This is proof, she thinks, that she is about to be exposed. Ransom drives her to the medical examiner's office, only for them to find it has been set ablaze, destroying the original evidence. This arson, as we later learn, was perpetrated by Ransom himself to eliminate the one piece of evidence that would disprove his entire scheme. The final moments of the chase involve Marta following an email to meet the blackmailer, only to discover the housekeeper, Fran, drugged and near death. Marta's moral code takes over. She immediately administers CPR and calls for an ambulance, prioritizing saving a life over saving herself. As she is about to confess to Blanc, believing her perceived crime is about to be revealed, Blanc cuts her off, finally revealing the entire sophisticated truth. The great deduction, Ransom was behind it all. He had swapped the labels on the two medication vials before Marta ever touched them, knowing her exhaustion would lead to a mix-up. When Marta thought she mistakenly grabbed the lethal morphine, she had in fact administered the correct, harmless drug. Harlan never overdosed, he survived the injection. Ransom had hired Blanc anonymously to pressure Marta into confessing and orchestrated the blackmail plot using a fake report to frame her. Ransom's sophisticated, multi-layered crime was defeated by Marta's basic medical competence and her inherent ethical refusal to prioritize her freedom over saving Fran's life. Ransom is arrested, and Marta, the completely innocent party, watches the entitled family from the balcony of her new home. Our second mystery catapults us from the classic Gothic mansion to the ultra-modern, isolated island of tech billionaire Miles Bron. Miles has gathered his close circle of friends dubbed the Disruptors for a staged murder mystery party. To understand the core mystery, we must start weeks earlier, before anyone set foot on the island. The plot's true catalyst is that Miles Bron stole the concept for his massive company Alpha from his former partner Cassandra Andi Brand, whose original idea was recorded on a cocktail napkin. To prevent Andi from exposing his theft in court, Miles murdered her and successfully staged the death as a suicide. The Andi who shows up on the island is not the deceased former partner, but her twin sister Helen. Distrusting the media's suicide ruling, Helen traveled from Alabama to New York to hire Benoit Blanc, convince someone in Miles's inner circle who all betrayed Andi to protect their own financial interests was the real killer. Helen's infiltration, posing as her dead twin, is the central setup, immediately narrowing the suspect list to Miles and his friends who sold Andi out. The staged murder mystery collapses when the men's rights activist, Duke Cody, suddenly drops dead after drinking from Miles' glass. This is the first real murder on the island, and the deduction is swift. Duke was eliminated because he witnessed the initial crime. Duke had seen Miles leaving Andi's New York apartment on the night of her murder. Miles, in an act of amateur, panicked criminality, killed Duke using a legal but lethal dose of pineapple juice, exploiting Duke's known allergy. Following this, Miles attempts to murder Helen with the same method, only confirming his guilt and revealing his incompetence as a criminal mastermind. The climax shifts from deduction to action. Blanc stages a dramatic confrontation, pretending Helen was shot and killed during a planned blackout. This allows Helen to slip away and search Miles' compound, retrieving the crucial piece of evidence, the original bar napkin. When Miles confirms he is the killer, Helen presents the napkin as proof. Miles laughs, believing his immense wealth makes him untouchable, and simply destroys the physical evidence. It is at this moment that Helen, empowered by Blanc, chooses a path of irreversible, destructive justice. She ignites the original napkin and then uses a sample of Miles' hypercombustible fuel product to set the entire Glass Onion mansion on fire, simultaneously destroying the priceless Mona Lisa. This desperate public act forces Miles to break down in an enraged confession, screaming about his losses and admitting his crimes, ensuring his downfall even if Helen faces consequences for the property destruction. Justice is served not by a courtroom, but by a spectacular, fiery ruin. And that is the full, chronological breakdown of two incredible mysteries. From the Thrombey patriarch's sacrifice to the downfall of Miles Bron's clueless hubris, Detective Benoit Blanc consistently proves that the greatest threats to justice are often the arrogance and assumed immunity of the wealthy elite. If you're hungry for more deep dive recaps, chronological breakdowns of the hottest films, and satisfyingly structured mystery reveals, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let us know in the comments what cinematic puzzle we need to untangle next.